Welcome, friends, to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a question, well, it's as old as humanity itself, really. What truly makes us happy and leads to a meaningful life? We're diving deep into Jonathan Haidt's fantastic work, The Happiness Hypothesis, which brilliantly fuses ancient philosophical wisdom with modern psychological research. Our mission today is to unpack Haidt's core insights, revealing some, surprising truths about our own minds, the subtle forces shaping our choices, and, crucially, how we can cultivate lasting fulfillment. Get ready for some powerful insights that might just challenge some common assumptions you hold.
Absolutely. And hate offers such a compelling framework for understanding ourselves. It really starts with this powerful metaphor, the rider and the elephant, to help us understand our own sort of divided
The
minds.
rider and the elephant.
Yeah, it's a key, I think, to unlocking so much of human behavior and ultimately our happiness.
Okay, so let's jump right in with that. The rider and the elephant. Hate suggests our mind isn't this single unified thing, but more like a dynamic duo. Can you walk us through what he means by these two parts and why this division is, well, so crucial?
Definitely. So hate describes our conscious rational mind as the rider. That's our controlled, deliberate thinking.
Okay.
But then there's the incredibly powerful intuitive elephant. This is our automatic processes,
Hmm.
gut feelings, emotions.
The gut feeling part.
Exactly. And what's really compelling here is that the elephant, driven by instinct and emotion, actually does most of the heavy lifting. It's fast, automatic, shaped by evolution for survival. The rider, our conscious thought, is more of an advisor. It can plan, learn, look ahead.
But it struggles sometimes.
Right, it often struggles to direct the elephant against its will. Think about it. The elephant kind of holds the reins on our motivations or desires. The rider often finds itself more of a servant than a master.
That makes so much sense. We've all felt that, haven't we? Your rational mind knows what you should do, but your gut or emotions just pull you somewhere else entirely. And Haidt says this plays out in our daily lives constantly, like this lycometer thing.
Yeah, the lycometer. Our elephant is constantly, instantly reacting, like or dislike, approach or avoid. It's why those quick first impressions are so powerful.
Like effective priming, where something you barely notice can sway your judgment.
Precisely. And even more powerful than those quick gut reactions is our built-in negativity bias.
Ah, yes. Tell us about that.
Well, hate shows that anything threatening or unpleasant just hits us harder, faster, stronger, and it lingers much longer than positive stuff.
You really feel that, don't you?
Absolutely. Think about relationships. It often takes, like 5 good interactions to make up for one really critical comment.
Or losing money feels way worse than gaining the same amount feels good.
Exactly. Our brains are just wired for caution. We over-index on the negative. It helped us survive, but it can make happiness tricky.
That's a challenging thought. If we're wired to focus on the negative, how do we stop that from just dominating everything, especially when our rider, our willpower, feels so limited?
Yeah, he calls willpower a limited resource, like a muscle that gets tired.
Right, easily worn down, while the elephant just keeps on going, effortlessly.
Exactly. And Haidt gives us some classic examples of this struggle, like the white bear effect.
Whoa, the don't think about a white bear thing.
Yeah. If I tell you not to think about one, what happens?
You immediately picture a white bear.
Right. Trying to suppress a thought, ironically, makes it stick around even more. It shows how our conscious control can actually backfire when it fights the automatic system. Trying to banish an unpleasant thought can almost guarantee it keeps popping up.
And it gets even trickier when we try to reason with ourselves or argue with others, right? He talks about the inner lawyer.
Ah, the inner lawyer, yes. He argues our rational rider is incredibly skilled at justifying whatever the elephant already feels.
So we decide first, then find reasons later.
Pretty much. We often make a judgment instantly, automatically, based on a gut feeling. Then the rider swoops in to build a case for it. That's why, winning an argument rarely changes someone's mind. The reasons you just defeated weren't the real source of their belief anyway.
Wow, that explains a lot about disagreements.
It leads straight to what he calls naive realism. We genuinely believe we see the world objectively, perfectly clearly.
And anyone who disagrees.
They must be biased or irrational or have some hidden agenda. It's a huge barrier to understanding each other because we're all convinced of our own objectivity. Our inner lawyer is always on duty.
Okay, so if our elephant is so reactive and our rider is busy being a lawyer and gets tired easily, does that mean lasting happiness is just, I don't know, a pipe dream? Haidt tackles this head on, doesn't he? Challenging that common idea that happiness is just about getting what we want.
He really does. And that's where he introduces two really important principles. The first is the progress principle.
Progress principle. Okay.
What feels truly good, what's really pleasurable, is making progress toward our goals, not necessarily just achieving them.
Ah, so the journey, not just the destination.
Exactly. Think about that deep satisfaction when you're really absorbed in a challenging project. Seeing it come together before you even finish it. That striving, that movement, that's often more rewarding than the brief moment of completion.
That resonates. Like the excitement building up to a vacation is sometimes better than the vacation itself, or at least a big part of the fun.
Right. And then there's the adaptation principle, which complicates things further.
Adaptation. We get used to things.
We get used to almost everything, good and bad. Haidt mentions this striking research comparing lottery winners and people who became paraplegic.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. It's kind of shocking.
It is. After the initial huge emotional swing up or down,
Mm.
both groups tended to return to roughly their previous baseline happiness levels within about a year.
So winning the lottery doesn't guarantee lasting bliss, and a terrible accident doesn't necessarily mean permanent misery.
Exactly. It suggests we're on this hedonic treadmill. We strive for more money, a bigger house, more status.
We get it.
And then we adapt. It becomes the new normal. And we're not really any happier than before. We just want the next thing. Neuroscience even shows our brain's reward pathways literally become less sensitive to the same stimulus over time. That new car thrill, it fades.
Wow, okay, that's a bit of a tough pill to swallow, isn't it? If we just adapt to everything, how can we ever find lasting satisfaction? Are we doomed to be on this treadmill forever?
Well, hate wouldn't leave us there. He definitely offers hope. He suggests things like mindfulness, practicing gratitude, consciously savoring good moments. These can help us fight that automatic adaptation, be more present.
Okay, so conscious effort can counteract it somewhat.
Yes, but beyond that, he gives us a really useful framework for actually building a fulfilling life, not just chasing fleeting highs.
All right, I'm ready for that. What's the framework? How do we cultivate that deeper happiness?
He offers this great little formula. H equals S plus C plus V. Happiness equals our biological set point plus our life conditions plus our voluntary activities.
H equals S plus C plus V. Okay, break that down. What's S?
S is our set point, our biological baseline for happiness. It's highly heritable, influenced by our genes. Haidt calls it the cortical lottery.
The cortical lottery.
Yeah, basically meaning some people's brains, maybe due to activity in the left frontal cortex versus the right, are just naturally predisposed to be more optimistic or approach-oriented. Some of us kind of, well, won that lottery.
So genetics plays a big role, a head start for some, but it's not the whole picture, right? What's C? Condition.
Right. C is the conditions of our life.
Yeah.
And while we adapt to many things, like income increases, Haidt argues some conditions have a real, lasting impact on our well-being.
Like what kind of things?
Things we don't fully adapt to. Chronic noise, for instance, especially if it's unpredictable. It just keeps stress levels up.
I can relate to that.
Or long, stressful commutes in heavy traffic. That daily grind wears you down. Also, having a sense of control over your environment matters hugely. Feeling powerless is consistently linked to lower happiness.
Okay, noise, commute control. What else?
And maybe the biggest one, relationships. Strong social connections. Study after study shows this is paramount. Good relationships are linked to better health, stronger immune systems, longer lives, and yes, significantly higher happiness.
So it's not just the fancy job title, it's who you connect with, and maybe not having a nightmare commute to get there. That really shifts the focus.
It absolutely does.
Okay, so that brings us to V, voluntary activities. This sounds like where we have the most direct influence.
Exactly. This is where our choices really come into play. Haidt highlights Melody Csikszentmihalyi's incredible concept of flow.
Ah, flow state, being in the zone.
Precisely. That state of complete absorption in a challenging task that perfectly matches your skills. You lose track of time, self-consciousness disappears. It's deeply satisfying.
It's a peak experience, really.
It is. And Haidt makes this crucial distinction between pleasures like eating good food, a warm bath, things that feel good but are fleeting, and gratifications.
Gratifications.
Yeah, these are activities that fully engage us. They draw on our strengths, challenge us, and lead to that flow state. Things like mastering a skill, engaging in creative work, helping others. These are the activities that build lasting fulfillment, not just temporary pleasure.
That's a really useful distinction, seeking gratification over just pleasure. It makes sense that pleasures, if overindulged, lead to diminishing returns, right?
Absolutely. Savor pleasures, but focus energy on gratifications. But Haidt also points out, kind of worryingly, how often we chase things that actually undermine our happiness.
Hmm.
We get caught up pursuing the wrong goals.
Like what? What are we chasing that backfires?
He talks about Robert Frank's work on conspicuous versus inconspicuous consumption.
Conspicuous consumption, showing off wealth.
Basically, yeah, buying things mainly to signal status, fancy cars, designer labels, things visible to others. Frank argues this is a zero-sum game. It just speeds up that hedonic treadmill because everyone's trying to outdo each other. Status gains are relative and temporary.
So keeping up with the Joneses doesn't actually make the Joneses or us any happier in the long run.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But inconspicuous consumption, things we value privately, like spending time with family, taking vacations, learning new things, experiences, rather than stuff in playings, these are linked to much more lasting well-being. They're not about status displays, they're about genuine enjoyment and growth.
That's a really powerful invitation, isn't it? For all of us to just pause and think, how am I spending my time, my money, my energy? Am I just fueling the treadmill, or am I investing in things that truly matter for happiness, those gratifications, those connections? Now, this leads to another fascinating, almost paradoxical idea Haidt explores. The idea that hardship, adversity can actually be good for us.
Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive, but he talks compellingly about post-traumatic growth.
Post-traumatic growth. Not just bouncing back, but actually growing stronger or wiser.
Exactly. It goes beyond Nietzsche's simple, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Haidt explores how people grow from adversity. He identifies three main ways.
Okay, what's the first?
First, adversity often reveals hidden strengths. You face something terrible, and you discover resilience or capabilities you never knew you had. It can fundamentally change your self-concept. He tells this really moving story about his friend Greg.
Oh, yeah.
Greg's wife left him, just shattered his world. But through that awful experience, Greg found this deep wellspring of affection and mercy within himself that he hadn't really accessed before. It's like the crisis broke him open to new parts of himself.
Wow, that's incredible. So adversity reveals strength. What else?
Second, challenges act like a filter for relationships. You find out who your real friends are, the ones who show up when things get tough, and those bonds often become much deeper, much stronger.
True friends are revealed in tough times. Makes sense. And the third way?
Third, trauma or major setbacks can profoundly shift your priorities. It can make you reevaluate what's truly important, often leading to a greater appreciation for life, for relationships, for the present moment. Things that seemed vital before suddenly seem trivial.
So it's not the adversity itself that's good, but how we respond to it and what it can reveal.
Precisely. And Haidt notes this growth is often more likely when the adversity happens in, say, early adulthood, when identity is still forming. And having good social support and an optimistic outlook, believing you can find meaning, really helps facilitate that growth.
That connection piece seems critical again, which leads us right back to the importance of relationships. You mentioned earlier, Haidt calls us ultrasocial. What does it really mean for our happiness?
It means we're not just social like, say, pack animals. We live in huge, complex, cooperative societies, often with non-kin. Our entire evolutionary trajectory is tied to our ability to connect and cooperate.
And how does that wiring show up?
Well, think about reciprocity, tit for tat. It's deeply ingrained. Our moral emotions, gratitude, liking people who cooperate, feeling anger or vengefulness towards cheaters, these emotions evolve because they help us manage cooperation in large groups. They enforce the rules.
So even anger has a pro-social evolutionary purpose.
In a sense, yes. It signals that a social contract has been broken. And Haidt even mentions Robin Dunbar's intriguing theory that language itself might have evolved largely for gossip.
Gossip, really?
Yeah, being able to share information about who's trustworthy, who's cheating, who's a good partner, that's crucial for navigating complex social networks and building larger cooperative groups.
So maybe gossip isn't always just malicious chatter. It has a function.
It seems so. It helps us manage reputations and enforce social norms. What's really insightful is seeing how fundamental these social mechanisms are, even the ones we sometimes look down on, for our collective well-being.
And the absence of connection is detrimental. You mentioned Durkheim.
Right, Emile Durkheim, the sociologist. His classic studies on suicide found that people with fewer social ties, fewer obligations and constraints, were actually more likely to take their own lives. It's a stark reminder. We need connection. We need to belong. Our relationships are literally vital to our health and happiness.
And speaking of vital relationships, Haidt talks specifically about love and attachment. He makes a distinction between passionate and companionate love. Can you unpack that?
Yes, it's a really important distinction. Passionate love is that intense, exciting, often all-consuming feeling like being high common at the start of a romance. It's powerful, but it tends to fade over time.
The honeymoon phase doesn't last forever.
Exactly. Companionate love, on the other hand, is that deep affection, trust, intimacy, and commitment that grows slowly through shared experiences and mutual care. It's less intense, maybe, but much more stable and enduring. Haidt argues that true love isn't just endless passion, it's strong companionate love, ideally with some passion mixed in, built on a bedrock of commitment.
Understanding that difference seems really key to having realistic expectations in relationships.
Absolutely. He points out two big dangers: marrying someone solely based on that initial intense passion before companionate love has developed, or breaking up when the initial passion inevitably cools, not giving the deeper, quieter love a chance to grow and sustain the relationship.
That's incredibly helpful advice. So, cultivating that deeper love and generally living a flourishing life. Hate brings in ancient wisdom here, too, right? Talking about virtue.
He does. Drawing on figures like Aristotle and Confucius, and also modern positive psychologists like Martin Seligman, he really emphasizes that cultivating virtue is essential for eudaimonia, that deep sense of flourishing.
And it's not just about knowing what's virtuous.
No, it's about practice, forming habits, consciously training the elephant, essentially, making virtuous actions feel automatic and rewarding over time. He uses Ben Franklin's famous virtue chart as an example.
Where Franklin tracked his progress on things like temperance, order, humility.
Exactly. It was a deliberate daily effort to shape his character, to make virtue habitual. Like learning any skill, it requires consistent practice.
And this cultivation of virtue connects to wisdom, doesn't it? Haidt says wisdom isn't just about book smarts.
Right. He leans on Robert Sternberg's idea of wisdom being largely tacit knowledge. It's not just explicit facts you can write down. It's procedural knowledge, knowing how to navigate complex situations, understanding people, making good judgments. It's practical, context-dependent, often gained through experience.
And maybe linked to that post-traumatic growth we talked about?
Very possibly. It's the kind of understanding you get from living, from facing challenges, from integrating experiences. And Haidt strongly advocates seeking wisdom from diverse sources, even, he suggests, from people we disagree with.
Looking for wisdom in our opponents, that's challenging.
It is. It requires overcoming that naive realism, that tendency to see ourselves as objective and others as purely biased or even, malicious, what he calls the myth of pure evil.
Right, getting past our own inner lawyer.
Exactly. Acknowledging moral complexity, trying to understand other perspectives, even if we don't agree with them. That's crucial for personal growth and maybe for reducing conflict in the world, too.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. Our divided selves, the rider and elephant, the limits of chasing desires, the hedonic treadmill, the surprising growth from hardship, the absolute necessity of connection, and the importance of virtue and wisdom. Where does Haidt leave us? What's the big takeaway for finding meaning and purpose in life?
His conclusion is really elegant, I think. He argues that happiness and meaning don't come purely from within, like some ancient Stoics might suggest, just mastering your mind.
Okay.
Nor do they come purely from without, just by getting the right external circumstances, the right job or house.
So it's not just internal, not just external.
It emerges from between.
From between. What does that mean?
It's about getting the relationships right, the connections between different levels of our existence.
Okay, like what relationships?
First, the relationship between yourself and others, cultivating love, deep attachments, community, that ultra-social need we have.
That makes sense. Connection. What else?
Second, the relationship between yourself and your work. Not just a job, but finding something that allows for flow, maybe even feels like a calling. Fulfilling that basic human drive to be effective, to make things happen, what he calls the effectance motive.
Finding meaning in what we do. Got it. And third?
Third, the relationship between yourself and something larger than yourself. This could be through spirituality, religion, engaging vitally with a cause, nature, a sense of purpose that transcends your own individual gain.
Connecting to others, to meaningful work, and to something bigger.
Yes. And Haidt suggests that when these different levels align, when your innate personality traits, your learned coping mechanisms, and your goals and values all kind of cohere and support each other, that's when a profound sense of meaning emerges. He says it can feel like enlightenment. Everything just clicks.
Wow. That's a powerful synthesis. It shows we're these complex beings driven by both selfish impulses and also these hive-like instincts for connection and group purpose.
Exactly. Our well-being, our happiness, our sense of purpose really depends on integrating those parts. Getting the rider and the elephant working together, drawing on each other's strengths, aligned towards something meaningful.
It's not about the rider conquering the elephant, but about achieving harmony.
Precisely. And Haidt really encourages us to seek wisdom that's balanced ancient and new, Eastern and Western, maybe even looking across political divides for insight.
So perhaps the final thought for you, listening, is this. If we can genuinely try to embrace that complexity, look beyond our own immediate reactions, our inner lawyer, if we try to find insight even in perspectives that challenge us, what new paths to fulfillment might open up, not just for ourselves, but maybe for how we engage with the world around us too.